Hey guys, I hope you're doing really well. This is your main man Anil coming live once again for Immunity for the Community podcast this May bank holiday. How's everybody doing? I hope you're enjoying the sun outside there. And today you're going to enjoy this podcast. This is going to be how you can find yourself again and overcome your struggles on the Write Your News Story course. And guys, you know you haven't seen as much of me recently, but as I said, it's been a bit of a tough month and I'll start going through it as we go along. So let's go right into it. So you may have seen I've not been as much on social media in April, and it has been a tough 4 or 5 months for me. And to try and help you on the Write Your News Story course, I'm going to go through my experiences recently on how I was able to find myself and how you'll be able to find yourself as well on the Write Your News Story course. So I'll start on the journey. So around about November time, I was going through a redundancy, and at that point, my body started going into a shock. I had already weighed about 12 stone 11, and at that point, my body started holding on to stubborn fat and stubborn weight, and my body was going into an emotional shock from that trauma. And I do what I usually do. I get into massive action. I apply for jobs. I do what I'm always doing, and that is to get back into fighting shape, hitting the gym 3 times a week, and staying very disciplined on that. But I saw no difference. Out of nowhere, in a matter of a couple of weeks, I went from 12 stone 11 somehow to 13 stone 2 without even eating any junk food, without even, skipping meals, still going to the gym and staying active. And I was sat there thinking, what's happening here? So, in hindsight, I could see I was going into a bit of shock in the body from that trauma. And then by the time we got to Christmas, I'd gone through a few more personal traumas related to family and other things that I won't speak of here, but that started to also weigh down on me. And at that point, I'd have been training a lot. I'd have maintained my routine. I'd have stayed in the gym. I was in massive action. I was always switching up my routines, my training routines. I was switching up my healthy meals that I was choosing to eat. And I just wasn't seeing anything different. I wasn't seeing a difference in my weight loss. I wasn't able to then get into fighting shape as I usually do to try and overcome a situation like this and to fight back. And it was very frustrating. And I was almost sat there stuck thinking, what else can I do? I'm doing everything I should. And I'm starting to see that emotional block. And that emotional block was coming from a lot of circumstances not going my way. Guys, if you can relate, if right now you find yourself in a bit of a rut where you've had a few personal traumas, you've had a few situations not go your way, and now you are taking the action, but you're just finding that you're not getting where you want to be, drop a comment, drop a like, even just hit that thumb, drop something there, guys, if you can relate to what I'm saying. So I was taking a lot of massive action, but I wasn't seeing any difference at all. And at this point, I got quite tired of and fed up of that same stagnant energy. So I said, right, I'm going to change something now. I'm going to also add yoga to my routine to do after my boxing rounds. And I would do yoga in the night. Now, what the yoga would do, it would help to release the stress and the trauma that I was going through at that moment. So I was boxing, I was lifting the weights, and I wasn't moving the weight. But it could have been that that energy was stuck within my body. And in fact, it was stuck within my body. So I started doing yoga stretches, and that helped to stretch out my body, release the stress, release the tension, and also help to improve my posture. As I started to do the yoga, that actually also helped with the boxing, increased the flexibility, and strengthened my core and got me a lot more confident and clarity in my thinking. Because at that point, I felt like I was going mad. I felt like I was going insane, trying to change the pattern, breaking the pattern, and not seeing a difference, and feeling as if I've done everything. Guys, if you can relate to right now, you find yourself changing the pattern, constantly trying new things to try and break through in your weight loss, to try and break through in your emotions, but you're not seeing any difference and you feel like you tried everything and you're frustrated, drop a comment, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a like. I want you to drop a comment, change in the comment section. And I felt that resistance a lot. But then I started introducing something else for grounding. And what I did was I started walking in the countryside. As I started walking in the countryside, breathing the greenery, the trees, the nice scenery that I was seeing outside, I started to feel that release in my body, and my body started slowly and steadily letting go of the weight. And I started shifting the weight a lot more. I started out 13 stone 2, and slowly and steadily, pound by pound, I started losing the weight a lot more. And I went to Bath for a few days to find myself again, because at this point I'd have gone through so many circumstances that were difficult, and I just needed to remember what my original why was. Why did I first get into shape? Why did I start losing weight? Why did I wake up that day and go to the gym and weigh in at 305 pounds and make a decision that I was going to lose all of that weight and get to exactly where I am right now? Guys, you may not appreciate that at one point where you are right now, where you are sitting, was exactly a manifestation of the dream that you had in the past. And in the past, you had a dream of what you wanted to be, who you wanted to be, and what you wanted to accomplish. And you put all of your energy and your focus into getting that. And now you're at this point and you might feel stuck. But it's always good to remind yourself of where you were and your why and how far you've come so you can appreciate yourself and you don't be hard on yourself. But it happens to the best of us. And in this process, I woke up every single day in Bath with one intention. I'm going to walk to one park today, every single day, and I'm going to breathe in the countryside and I'm going to feel that energy and release that trauma and let it go. And as I started walking to all of the parks, I went to every park that you could go to. I went to the Bath Skyline Walk, then I went to Alexandra Park, then I went to Royal Victoria Park, and I went to Prior Park. Every single park that I went to over those 3 days, I could slowly and steadily feel that trauma releasing from my body. And as that trauma released from my body, I could see a difference and I started losing the weight and I started moving the weight. And now that stubborn weight that I was, where I couldn't break through 13 stone, has now broken. I'm now weighing in at about 12 stone 13, and I will break through that and get back to 12 stone 11, and in fact, back to 12 stone 7, which is my ideal weight. But I went through this at a point where there was an emotional block and my body was in a shock. And right now, you may have tried a lot of things and you may have gone through a lot of situations, and you might not appreciate that those situations have actually created an emotional block within your body. And at this point now, even though things have now gone up on the up, my circumstances have changed, I've got a job now, I'm back on my own feet, I have now gone into the process of taking care of myself and resetting every single day by doing meditations and finding that clarity and continuing the meditations. And now I can see all that tension from that time over the last 4 months has finally been let go. All that trauma has been let go. But it's taken a process. And, I've been doing meditations for John Asraf's meditation as well as Sadhguru Zisha Kriya to help that process. And also one thing that I did that really helped was journaling while I was out in Bath. And I would journal in the night, let it go, and go for the walk. And slowly and steadily, I could see I was getting better. And I could see I was finding myself again. Fast forward to now, where I'm in the gym now, and I'm not feeling that same frustration. I'm not feeling that frustration of, oh, I've tried everything. I'm starting to lose weight by taking the same action purely because I changed my state and my emotional state. And it was a shift in the emotional pattern, and it was a shift in breaking those emotional blocks with the meditations, and it was a shift in changing my routines of taking in the countryside and using that as a grounding exercise and not just limiting myself to the gym. Guys, on the Write Your New Story course, this is not a rigid plan. If you find at any point you're stuck in your weight loss goals, I will work with you to help you change your patterns, break those stubborn patterns, because it all starts with that belief. And sometimes when we get stuck in a situation, we can also get stuck in that belief. And being stuck in that belief can then manifest in our body. And once it manifests there and we're not able to release it and let it go, that's what hinders our weight loss progress. That's what stops you from losing weight. Even when you're hitting the treadmill 30 minutes a day, even when you're lifting the weights every single time, even when you're benching 55 kilos, even when you're lat pulling down 55 to 65 kilos, I've done all that. And that's what I was going through in those 4 months. And I'm pretty sure right now, there's a lot of you guys out there who are going through this, where you're in this cycle of being hard on yourself because you've got into a tough situation. You're now taking the action to get out of that. But it's that emotional healing that's required. And it's that grounding exercise, that yoga, walking in the countryside, that's going to help you to find yourself again. See, not only was I just going to get myself into fighting shape as I usually do, this was a lesson that I needed to find myself. And you know what boxers do whenever they train for a championship fight? They go to the mountains, they go to the countryside, and they do track running. and they don't just stay in the gym. They go outside of their environment to take in the environment from outside, to get that grounding, to get that focus. And when they step back in that ring, guess what? They're a different beast altogether. And that's when they channel the inner Rocky. And I've experienced that exact same feeling. Me walking through all those parks has helped me to find myself again. And now I can look at myself and say, I'm happy with myself again. I've channeled the inner Rocky. I've overcome these difficult circumstances over the last 4 months. And now I've found myself again. And this is me showing my vulnerability, guys, because a lot of you, I can appreciate you're at that point where you're stuck. But this is how you can get unstuck on the Write Your New Story course. I'm going to go through everything with you. I can offer you a free one-to-one consultation call where you can talk through what your limitations are, what your limiting beliefs are. But then we can help you to focus on what you do want, your goals, whether that's £20, £50, £100. I've been there, I've been through it, I've accomplished these goals before, and I can coach you to that success by following this pattern, by following this approach of changing the pattern if it doesn't work, and changing your approach and taking the winning formula forward. That is what this is. This is the inner Rocky formula. This is channeling the inner Rocky on the Write Your New Story course. And we can train on Teams, we can meet up at the gym, and I'm happy to train on WhatsApp or any other platform of social media for the consultation as well as training as well. And we can fit that in to your very busy 9 to 5 lifestyle, because a lot of you guys, you're very busy in this 9 to 5, but that's all becoming too much at times. But you have to take care of yourself. Sometimes it's good to unplug from that 9 to 5 life and start taking care of yourself, because in doing that, you're going to show up a lot better on your job. You're going to show up a lot better for your family. And most of all, most importantly, you're going to show up a lot better for yourself. Guys, I am very happy to be working with you on the Write Your New Story course. If you're ready to get yourself into shape, to find yourself again on the Write Your New Story course, courtesy of Immunity for the Community, DM me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. My email address is below. We've got the Write Your New Story course Gold course going for $29.99 a month. We've got the Silver course going for $19.99 a month. And we've got the Bronze course, the beginner level, going for $14.99 a month. And on the Gold package, I'm willing to offer the 5% discount. Guys, I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. As I would say, everybody, channel your inner Rocky. Go out there, enjoy that bank holiday, and reach out to me if you are ready to get yourself in shape and to find yourself again. Take care now. Be happy. Stay blessed. I'm the man.